Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games and beer. I believe it's episode 284. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Oh, don't you mean Clark Kent?
Oh yeah, what's your Clark Kent name?
Clark Kent.
Oh, good.
Juicy
Original.
Loose. Oh, I guess it's Clark Kent, and then it's Juicy Loose.
Yes, that is my alter ego, Lucy, Juicy Loose. You see, I didn't think I was enough of a nerd, so I went and got glasses.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Yeah. So no one can mistake it now. And of course, we're joined by Adel. Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah, we are now officially a real podcast because everyone has either glasses or a beard.
Yay! The trifecta.
That's it. We've made
only
Just
it.
wait
been-
until you lot get glasses
Yeah.
and I get a beard. Just wait.
It's only been 280, 90 episodes, and we finally are a podcast.
That's it. About 6 years in. So give it another 6 years, and glasses will be on the other sides, beers will be elsewhere. Stay tuned for the next 6 years to see how we evolve into different podcast
God,
hosts.
I don't want to
across
see
the years.
myself in 60 years. The cameras will be off by then.
We'll just have our own little animated avatars that, like, the camera will automatically like mocap us, and
Yep.
we'll be hip youngsters.
We can do one of those ones where we're just those, the anime girls. We're just 3 different anime girls that people stick over the top of themselves instead of showing their faces.
We'd get so many more subscribers if we were.
We're just chatting.
Let's open some beers. Do anime girls drink beers? I don't know. We do, though. So we're going to open up.
These anime girls drink beer.
Lucy, why don't we
Yes.
come to you first? What are you going to drink this evening?
Yeah, I only have the one beer,
Okay.
which is probably this week because I think I'm ready for stouts these.
That's fair.
And I didn't have any dark beers. I still had so many saisons and like lagers left over from the summer, and it's just like I don't want those. So the best one I could find in my little bit of stash is a beer from Attic Brew Co.
Mhm.
So representing here Birmingham in the Midlands, and it is with Odie plus Moo, who apparently do handcrafted ice cream. It is called Rich History, and it's a 7.4% Belgian double.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have to Google this Odie Moo, but yeah, I love the can art. It's probably gonna be too hard to see. But
It's
it
a
looks
bit bright.
it reminds me of. It looks like what's it called? The Essence in Hollow Knight. So
Okay.
people who've played Hollow Knight would are like, oh, I know what that looks like. Everybody else is just like, shut up about Hollow Knight. So, yeah. That's what
Another
I'm
week,
drinking.
another Hollow Knight mention. Tick it off your list, everybody.
Yes,
Good.
tanked up bingo.
Yes.
I'm going to open a
The
beer.
middle square.
I'm going to open a beer. I've got a beer from Verdant this week. Starting off on something lighter. It's called Remembering Things I Didn't Do. It's a West Coast IPA. It's 6%. It's got Columbus, Chinook, Simcoe, and Idaho 7 on the hot side, and then Idaho 7 and Simcoe on the cold side. I know it's got oats in, barley and wheat. Doesn't tell me much more about the malts or the yeast. But yeah, it's a very awkward can art. I mean, remembering things I didn't do makes it almost. Yeah.
Is that my glasses? 'Cause I'm not used to these yet. Or is the writing actually warped?
The writing is very, very warped. Yes.
Okay.
Adel, what are you going to open?
That's a good question. It'll be this one, I think. It's the Noon Whistle Cosmo Pale Ale by. Noon Whistle's the brewery. So it's a Cosmo Pale Ale by Noon Whistle. It is a light orange hue and a citrus nose from the Falconer Flights hop make this balanced and crushable.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
That's a nice
we're
can.
at Illinois.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a nice, classy.
Yeah.
I
Is
like
that
the color blocking, but inked on getting the aluminum to be
yeah.
shiny, but actually still having like the white on top and stuff. That's a nice look at.
Is that 355?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The North American silly cans.
Hey, it's better than 330.
It's true.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah, just that little.
Not
that-
enough is what I'm saying.
That one extra slug that you get while you're sipping. Lucy, we'll come back to you then for the attic.
Yeah, it looked like a double. The head, it was, before it dissipated, it was like, better one finger, slightly brownish, very frothy, very bubbly head. But drinking it in my delirium glass.
Nice.
Christmas one. I saw Christmas decorations in Tesco already today. And I was just like, oh my god! Yeah, it said
What
stop
happened to
early.
the Halloween rule? Does anyone know
Funny
what
thing
happened to
is,
the
I
Halloween
didn't
rule?
see any Halloween thing. I think Halloween's over. It's over before it's even happened. They're Christmas now. Yeah, extraordinary.
Well, that's good. At least we'll get out. There won't be any pumpkin beers. That's fine then, and I'm happy with that.
I don't think I've ever had one. Because I don't like pumpkin anyway, but I don't think I've ever had
I
pumpkin
have.
beer.
I've
Over in
had
this
good ones,
country, or
which
when
are
in Canada?
in Canada. There's a bit more nuance to them because they've been trying for a longer time. So there's like some understated ones which like are like they evoke pumpkin spice without being like, hey, we put all the cardamom and nutmeg and cinnamon, etc., into a beer and it tastes like mush. But given that I don't mind pumpkin spice as a thing, but I much like it. I like it in pumpkin pie. I don't really like it that much in beverages, and I don't like it like in my face. So it's sort of for me, it's a hard needle to thread.
Yeah, fair. Lucy, what's the beer like?
It's interesting. I think the ice cream goes well with like the kind of double style, because I'm thinking, I don't know if it's because it's been so long since I have a double. I don't think it is. It's just like I'm having difficulty distinguishing. Okay, which part of it is that Belgian style and which part of it is the ice cream, which isn't a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's like, yeah, it goes really well with the style. It isn't something I would have considered because you're getting that sweetness, and I think that's from the ice cream as well. But you are getting that like deep, rich, spicy, slightly bitter taste from like the double, and it makes it so it's not too overpowering, that sweetness from the ice cream. Yeah, I'm gonna have to Google these OD Moo people. I wonder where they're from. I don't recognise them in Birmingham.
No, you'd imagine it was maybe local.
I would. Yes, they're in Harborne in Birmingham.
Okay.
Yeah, handmade ice cream. Interesting. But yeah, I think it's a really good collaboration. I can feel the strength of it. I'm getting that warming sensation, so it's one that I'll sip on slowly over time. But yeah, as I said, you're getting like kind of a deep, rich, spicy kind of flavour to it. And yeah, you got that bitterness, that nice bitterness at the end, just tapering everything off. But yeah, it smells like a double. It looks like a double. I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, the fact that there's ice cream in it, it's gonna be like, don't let that detract from you trying it, because I think it works really well with the style actually. So.
Nice. Okay. Good. We rarely get attic beers down here in Bristol. I think I've seen them once.
Oh wow! Okay.
Maybe it was an attic. No, maybe it was someone else.
Glasshouse or?
It was Glasshouse. It wasn't attic. Well, yeah, it was Glasshouse.
I get them confused as well. So.
Yeah. But again, I saw them down here once, picked up a couple from them, and then haven't seen them since. So who knows? Who knows? We need someone to start bringing us down a big old van full of Birmingham beers every couple of months to the bottle shops and stuff. Listeners, if you live in Birmingham or in Bristol and you fancy doing that, you could make a good business out of it. Crack on, please. Hurry up.
Do it for us. But yeah, it's got it's quite thin, which is interesting from a
Mhm.
double, to be honest. I mean, you can probably tell just by like how almost watery it looks. As I slosh it in the glass, so
Yeah.
it's not. So I think that helps because it's like I feel like even with that little bit of sweetness, it might have been a bit too heavy if it had that like thickness that sometimes you might get from a double.
Mhm.
But yeah, very light bodied, very 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 watery, very thin, but it's like it carries through those flavors quite well regardless. So I think it's a good autumn beer.
Good. Nice. Nice. Okay. Good. Maybe
Very
one
nice.
that's not quite an autumn beer, but is very delicious nonetheless. This Verdant, incredibly light nose, right? Like barely getting anything off that at all. A little bit of sweetness, but not much else. But in the flavour's lovely. This is exactly what I want from a West Coast IPA. So it's nice, a bit darker. It's more hazy than sort of a solid block. So you probably can't. We just sort of see through that colour, but it's nice. It's giving me just that little hint of sweetness, a tiny touch of fruit at the beginning, and then it just jumps into those deeper, slightly danker flavours. So I'm getting this sort of hard to tell. It's kind of like this burnt, but not quite burnt. It's this sort of sweet caramel, which kind of it sort of bitters almost as it goes through, because it's joined by this lovely pininess in there as well. So it's a beer that starts with a very light touch of sweetness and then just bitters as it goes through and ends on this nice piney bitter note. So it works through quite well. It's not doing much more than that, but I don't think it needs to. It's just a really solid beer. And it kind of, you were saying about the consistency of yours, Lucy. It sloshes around a little bit, but it does have that slight a kind of almost oiliness to it, where it coats the tongue. It's not viscous. It doesn't feel like it's got anything kind of additional in there, but it just has just a bit more of a medium body. I think maybe that's it could be to do with the softness of the water down there. We always talk about the water quality with Verdant. It could be adding to that as well. So this is just a very well-made West Coast IPA, just solid, not doing
Good.
a huge amount, or not really needing to, because it's just nailing those few flavours that flow through it. So it's going to go down incredibly easy. So Adel, was it Moon Whistle or Noon Whistle?
Noon
Whistle.
Whistle. NWB, Noon Whistle Brewery Company. Yeah. So it's nice and hazy. Though you can see a shadow behind it with the light shining through. So, not fully opaque, but you can see a nice creamy head, poured really well. It's got a lovely lemony citrus on the nose, with a slight bitterness. Can't quite place what type of bitterness, but really clean smelling, and a slightly there's a slight floral that's sort of evening out that lemon citrus, making but oh, that's really nice. That's a really good pale ale. It's 5%. I don't know if I said before. It's just the right amount of that creaminess with the alcohol levels, giving a nice, really good mouthfeel. Coats the tongue and clings a bit to the sides of the mouth. And again, you're getting this really light lemony citrus and slightly floral sweetness, I want to say. So a bit like it's like orange blossom rather than oranges.
Okay.
It's really clean, The only thing that really sticks around is that understated bitterness. I was sitting under the nose as well. But yeah, it's so clean, and if anything, I would say almost the main taste is almost a little too quick because I keep reaching for it. So I don't know how long this is going to last. Although I will say that as I've taken a few sips, I'm getting a lot more. That bitterness is developing a little more. So instead of just sort of being a like low level, oh yeah, it's got some bitter. There's some depth coming through. Not really piney. There's almost no resin in there. Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping this like the bitter finish is quite long. But again, maybe it'll develop a little more. But right now, what's really drawing me back to the beer is that initial taste, is that sort of citrusy push. And it doesn't linger at all, really. So I could easily see myself just accidentally ramming through this, even though I'm taking small sips. Like I'm not gulping. I only need a bit of a sip to get that hit of that citrus, to get that really nice, it's a taste that opens up your mouth. You feel like refreshed. I would almost say, Lucy, you said yours was more like an autumnal beer. This is like late summer or early spring. I feel like it's either it's just like the seasons are about to change, but you're still living with the heat, so it doesn't quite match the dreary week we've been having in Bristol. That's kind of nice as well. And then it's not like a tropical IPA in the middle of a storm where you're like, these are good flavors, but boy, does this like not fit well with the world I'm in. This still kind of does. It's like it's not autumnal, but it's close enough. I think it works. And I think, again, because it's nice and clean, but not too in your face, you can still sip it as it's a pale ale. Like, I'm inside and cozy, and it's not too cold in my room, so that's fine. But if it was like a few weeks from now, where the radiator barely works sometimes, and you're wanting to put a blanket on, but the show must go on, then something like this might feel a little too summery. But yeah, I think in the moment it's quite good.
I bought a book.
Oh, amazing.
Basically about it says The Beer Lover's Guide to the Seasons.
Johnny Garrett from Craft Beer Channel.
Yeah, and he described it as, okay, this is why we prefer these beers at this time of the year. Whoever gets a nice hop harvest and the aged beers and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be an interesting read.
Nice. It's on my my mum asked me for a small list of things I'd like for my birthday in next month, and that was sort of top of it.
Yes.
So yeah, looking forward to getting that.
We can do a little tanked up beer book club.
Beer club.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll ask for that for my birthday, which is soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
One might say 6 days.
I think it's in my calendar. I actually found some flavor text with this OD Moon one, so if you don't mind,
no, of course,
humor me.
Never.
It says we were inspired by OD and Moo's new brown sugar and vanilla bean ice cream to produce a beer pairing. The addition of the dark muscovado sugar complements the classic Duvel flavors of dried fruits and treacle, with a little peppery Belgian yeast character and noble hop spice. Best enjoyed as a beer float with a ball of Odeon Moo on top. I don't think I'm that adventurous to do that. Move Over Impy Stout doubles are the new coolest drink in town.
Okay. Big words.
I mean, yeah, they are, because I was hoping I had an Imperial Stout, but it's like this is all I had, and I won't say it replaces Imperial Stout, because I was looking at some today and it's just like so many of them. It's just like, I remember when it was like 9-8%. The brewers are just gone mad now. It's like 12 or nothing. It's like, I'm just like, oh my god. But yeah, so it's stout season for me now.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to lean into that for the second half of the episode.
Ooh.
courtesy of Adel, actually, for when he dropped round at the weekend. He brought me a beer over, so that is going to be my second.
Cool.
But we can
A
come
good
to
guest.
that one later. Yes, yes, we'll come to that one later. Lucy, why don't we continue with you and
Okay.
jump into games?
Yeah, haven't played much. The game I have played is called Vitriol, which is on iOS. I'm not sure if it's on Android. I have the press kit up here. But it's made by Charlene Putney and Martin Pilschmer. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. It only came out last week, so the 1st of October. Publisher is Broken Rules, who did Old Man's Journey. And they also did, oh gosh, what's that really good other iOS game that I played from the... Bear with me, I'll click on their... Oh, they've done a lot. ELO, which was ELOH, which is also on iOS, and it's like this really cool rhythmic puzzle game. But yeah, I've enjoyed everything that I've played from them, that I've played on iOS, and Vitriol's another good fit because it's... Did either of you play Device 6 from like Simogo? Guys who did like Year Walk.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's at this point it's very old. Gosh, when did that come out? Probably at least 6 years ago, maybe.
Oh wow.
Device 6.
I mean, maybe.
2013. Jeez.
Oh, that's pretty tacked up.
Yeah, I fully recommend you lot play that because, gosh, it must be pennies these days. But
What's it called again?
Device 6.
I'm opening up a tab.
Yeah. Go play that game. It's very good. But yeah, Vitriol sort of got a similar kind of weird aesthetic where it's like, okay, the setting of this game is like you're in this weird, like, kind of Orwellian dystopian kind of regime, and it's all about manipulating words and letters. So ostensibly, it's a word puzzle game.
Very prescient for our times, I think.
I mean, always is, always will be.
Yeah.
It may not be 1984, but Jesus, might as well be. Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe how you actually manipulate the letter. So maybe go watch a trailer, because I'll probably butcher it. But you're basically reading through this very short story. These little excerpts from this very short story. That it's very well written. I was hoping by the end of the game you could just like read the story from start to finish, because each one of the game's chapters is like a little portion of the story, and it's broken up by these puzzles. And it's like sometimes when you're solving these puzzles, it might take you, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to actually get the solution. So it's like, it's portioned out like that. And I was really hoping by the end of the game, it's like, okay, I want to just read this story all the way through, but it didn't offer it, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe it's something that could be, just added in at the end, like in a patch or something, or an update. But yeah, so basically, you're manipulating the actual letters of this, of these words. So, say in a very early example, in fact, you know what? It might just be easier for me to like read an excerpt from it. So, show and tell children, which Lucy should have prepared for earlier, and that would be much easier.
Prepared for? I mean, yeah, when do we ever do that kind of stuff?
That is very true. This is Tanked Up, and if you don't know, you're new here. God help you.
Yeah. We haven't been doing it for 284 episodes. We're not about to start now.
Yeah. Let me get something. But yeah, you're basically rewording things, using the like wordplay just to make different, using current letters and current words just to make different ones, and like fill in the rest of um the phrase, the paragraph.
It sounds very
As
similar to
such.
something I think we've all played a couple of years ago, and
Mhm.
again another one where there was sort of light puzzle elements to it, and it would bring up a little kind of some text for the story after each of
Mhm.
them, but it didn't always bring it up because you might not have completed the
Oh
words
yeah.
in the correct way, or you put the
Mm,
wrong words in and things like that. I cannot remember what that was, but it sounds
yeah.
very similar to that, just in the way that
Yeah.
it's kind of laid out and plays through rather than
Mhm.
specific kind of mechanics.
Yeah. The good thing about Vitriol is that the these are very created, so it's not like, okay, we're just scrolling through a dictionary. It's like, okay, the word that they want is, it follows through with the story. So,
Hmm.
for example, there's one page, and I'm looking at here. It says the road swished into a uh, nightmare river, time two, and there's like four blanks for the word that you have to fill in, and in the word swished, um, there's three letters that are like highlighted: the S, the W, and the I.
Hmm.
So presumably, you could first thing to do is work out, okay, what could this next word be? And I think, half of the puzzle is working out, okay, how does this paragraph flow well? How does the story flow well? Which word does it specifically want? And obviously, it's giving you the clue by highlighting the words SWN, and it's going to be swim. And so you're basically taking the letters away from swished and then creating swim. You're trying to get another letter, which in this case is from nightmare, and then pushing that into the part where it wants swim.
Right.
And the puzzle element comes from the fact that whenever you take letters away from a word, those letters remaining still have to make a word. It's
Hmm.
not like you can, if I was to take, say, the R away from road, OAD is not a word. So it's like
Right.
I'm having to work out how I can, you know, make a word, with the letters remaining and not have it mess up the puzzle, because it literally won't let you drag the word over. So in the case of swished, if you take the SWI, it still spells shed, still a word. So it's
Right.
like, but yeah, that's the kind of overview of the puzzles that you're having to do. You're having to move around these letters, incorporate them with other words to get these other letters and move those around, and it's quite clever. It's at some points I was like, oh my god, I'm stuck, but it was because I was overthinking it. Because usually the solution was there. It was like we've provided you with the solution, and it's like you're probably overthinking it if you're spending more than 5-10 minutes
Hmm.
on it. Um, but yeah, it was an interesting way to use. I love my word puzzle games, and there's a dime a dozen on like iOS especially. So this was actually a novel way of incorporating language, using language to solve puzzles, to continue prose and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
It's not long. I think there's about maybe 7 chapters. Probably around 10 puzzles each. So if you're not as dumb as me, I'm sure you could complete it in about an hour or so. I think probably took me 90 minutes to 2 hours or
Okay.
something. But yeah, I think I wish they had done more. I think it's because I'm probably equating it to Device Six. It sort of has the same aesthetic, where yes, you are in this like kind of dystopian world. I think Device Six is more kind of noirish kind of uh aesthetic, but it's similar, and it's like I wish they had gone deeper on like the kind of um, you know I wish there was more trickery on like the page, and I wish there was more mechanics incorporating.
Mhm.
Okay, to show me that I'm in like this Orwellian world. It's like probably, freedom of speech and writing and communication is probably at a premium. I wish
Sure.
they had done a little bit more to convey that rather than this story, which is kind of doled out, and I wish I could just read that all the way through. There are elements where it's like, okay, it offers you the opportunity to like, have some agency over it, where it's like, okay, I'm picking a code word, and it's like I can either choose wolf or lion or I don't know, crow or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, I chose wolf. I don't think that changes the story in any way, but it's nice to have that kind of agency. And
Just have a
stuff,
little feel about it.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, I wish it had just gone a bit more into like kind of using the words, using the letters, using the kind of prose and how it's displayed on the page and everything like that, just to create a bit more intrigue and a bit more just get through that kind of state of uncertainty and like unrest and oppression through not through its story, but also through a few more mechanics and stuff like that. So,
Did you sit there and play it in one session?
2 sessions.
Okay.
But yeah, you could probably play it in one session for sure. But yeah, I think the only real knock against the game is like, I wish you could just read that story all the way through again, because it's really, really, really beautifully written, and to obviously I think the story was written first, and it was like, okay, we'll decide which letters and which words we're going to incorporate into the puzzles, but it just works so well where it's like, oh, it feels like it's the reverse, where it's like we're writing a story around these puzzles, and it just it's very cohesive in that sense. But I just wish they had done more of like with like the is it typography, is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is that to do with mountains or just like no
Topography.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm tired. But yeah, so it's just like I wish they had done a bit more, but interesting game. It's on iOS. Not sure about Android.
I did try to search for it on Android, but my internet has just dropped off my phone, so no.
Never mind.
Not finding out from me.
Device 6 never came out on anything but iOS. So I'm wondering if that's just their platform
Okay.
stuff of choice. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes. Actually,
Platform stuff.
Talking about a game all about words. We're full of the right ones, aren't we?
Mm.
Yeah. Vitriol's just on the App Store. Currently, so. But yeah, recommend checking it out. It's an interesting one. Interesting. If you're looking for something that a word puzzle game that does something slightly different, then yeah, go check that one.
Was it through Apple Arcade?
No,
Okay.
no. It would make a great Apple Arcade game. But maybe I'm just saying that because it's like, oh, that'd be a great Switch game. That would be a great Game Pass game. Just give me all these games in a subscription. Who knows? But yeah, interesting game.
Nice.
But yeah, please just update it so I can just read that story again, because it's beautifully written. Yeah, nice little. Probably like the length of a novella. So
yeah, it's a shame to not be able to return to it and experience it kind of as one full story. You could go back to it again and play through it again to kind of experience that, but still, when it's broken up like that, it's not. And you're spending time to do these puzzles and move these letters and all of that sort of stuff around. That takes away from the experience of the story. And whilst it's an interactive-ish kind of story, as you say, it'd be great just to be able to go back and be like, right, I understood what was going on, I did this, but maybe I didn't take this in, let me see what that was about, and be able to experience it again. So
yeah, because it makes sense that you know, conceptually that it's like, yes, this is, you know, this story doled out, as I said, you know, like communication is probably at a premium. It's like, you know, can't just write free flowing prose in an oppressive society and stuff like that. So as I say, conceptually it makes sense, but it would just be nice if we could just, yeah, read it, because it's got a nice ending as well. So I've got the last couple lines. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Okay, cool.
Check it out.
Nice, good.
Vitriol. Yeah, and one last thing, really nice presentation around it, like just how, you know, you're basically reading through this book, and like each chapter's got this, you know, really interesting like Renaissance painting chapter art to it.
Nice.
It has these like sound effects. I can't believe I didn't mention this. It has these, you know, sound effects. So it's like, say going back to the page about the swelling river, it's like you hear like the sound of the current, or like when it's pouring with rain, you hear the you know, the raindrops and stuff like that. So play it with headphones. It's really effective, and just adds to the experience. So yeah, and that's it.
Awesome. No, good. It seems like a nice little experience. You know, if you've got a week of having been busy and not having done sort of getting too much kind of gaming time in, it's nice to just have that one little experience, rather than what I've been doing is, again, another week of me jumping between, you know, Kena and Deathloop and Sable, and trying to just eke a little bit of each of those some more. So yeah, nice to have just that one tight, well done experience. So
yeah, it fit really well into my last week or so.
Perfect, good. Well, it kind of leads me quite nicely into maybe just a little bit of a Deathloop chat, because we didn't talk about it last week. But I've got tons of thoughts on Deathloop, but I'm still maybe like 16 hours into it when I wrote my little piece, which I put up on the site. Not last week before, maybe I'd hit maybe sort of 10 hours in, and you know, that was all about how it kind of respects my time, that you can jump into each of the sort of the maps at different times of day and just play maybe like 20 minutes or something, and it's nice to be able to sort of fit that in. But for those who are unfamiliar, which I don't imagine is anyone, because Deathloop has been everywhere, everyone has been talking about it, everyone's made a video or done something. Yeah, it's had some very good praise, but
I'm so glad for Arcane, you know, that they've got a win. I mean, it could be, you know, it seems like it's top of everyone's tongue for like game of the year, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for most of the industry, I would think. I'm not quite. I mean, it probably will be there or thereabouts for me. Having not finished it yet, I want to see how it all unfolds, because whilst it's kind of a first-person shooter, or like play your way kind of stealth or shooter sort of game, it's not like Arcane's previous games, Dishonored, and those sorts of things, where you are just running through a level, you hit the end, you go into the next one. This has, as it is called Deathloop, it has a loop, and what you're trying to do is, as Cole, kill all of the visionaries in one day. A day is split up into 4 sections: morning, noon, afternoon, and evening. There are 4 maps as well, so you can do a full day of basically hitting each map kind of once in a time frame. And it's very much a puzzle game, in that you are going into each map in a session, not necessarily having to kill the visionary that's there, but understanding things, getting more information, knowing the moves that you can potentially make at different times of day in different areas to get the visionary out of that map, get them into another one at a different time of day. You know, you're constantly collecting information in each of these runs, and it's not a roguelike game as such. yes, your kind of progress resets at the end of each day and you start that day loop again. But you have all of that extra information. You know that actually if I was to go here in the morning and disrupt what's going on, that will make this visionary then appear somewhere else during the day, potentially with another one, so you can get two of them in one sort of map. You might get one of them in the morning. And so it's this idea around it that you have to kind of get that perfect day, that you know that you can go here, do these things, then go here and hit these things, then go here and hit these things, and then go to the last sort of whichever final map is in the evening and do that last kind of bit and hit all 8 of those visionaries through the day. So it's unfolding for me quite nicely. I know from some of the chats we've had in the Discord with Steph that it hasn't maybe hit quite as well, because for then it feels a little too puzzly, you don't have that agency almost. But I'm coming from it from the other way, and I think it's maybe because I'm playing in these small chunks. Like, right, I'll just go into this map and play for like 20 minutes. I'll uncover some secrets. I'll understand what's going on. I'll get some new information. I'll see who's there at this time of day. Oh, I've not been to this map during the afternoon. I'll go there and see what's happening. And there's a nice sort of overview where it kind of threads these, and it says this happens, this person's here, you could do this and disrupt that. So you can keep track of some of these things. And it's presented and allows you to understand that very well also. And I think that's what keeps me coming back to it. You know, it's that kind of, I'll just eke a little bit out of this. I'll just get that next little clue to how I can get this visionary who is by themselves, only in this one place, only at this time of the day. There's got to be another way to get them. There will be something I can unlock or something I can do which might push them somewhere else. And that's intriguing to me, to understand that puzzle, to know what I can do. That is all kind of sat nicely on top of just a very competent game. The stealth, the idea that you can slink through one of these maps, you can hack stuff, you can just get your machete out and sort of stealth kill people. You can go through, and that's how I first started playing the game, trying to be super stealthy, really cautious. Like, I don't know this map, I don't know who's around the corner, I don't know what's going on. I took a little bit more time in these things, whereas now I'm going into areas and I'm like, right, I've been here before. There's an enemy here, 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 and here. That's kind of where they start off at this time of day in this map. Pick out my long range gun, pop, 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 take them out, run across here, jump through this window, do this. And it's evolving more as I'm understanding these maps and understanding where people are and all those kinds of things. I'm feeling more confident and I'm getting much more actiony with it, to then be like, I've come at a different time of day, so there's a whole new area unlocked. I'll go back to being a little bit stealthy and kind of, but it still gives you the tools that if stuff goes sideways, you can kind of blast your way out of it, run away and hide, and then go back to being stealthy again if you need to. It doesn't really make you pick either of those options. There's no negative to going in all guns blazing, apart from running out of ammo and there being tons of enemies. And it feels really good to play as well. And I jumped back in it this morning after about a week without having played it, and it's so familiar in how it plays. You know, it's got that very easy sort of shooter language, that first person shooter kind of language to it, with extra little bits in terms of the stealth kind of mechanics. You know, it's only a couple of button presses that you understand that's kind of what will crouch you down, how you pull your machete out instead, and those kinds of things. It's got a very familiar language which just allows you to jump straight back into it as well. So I'm really, really enjoying it.
That's good. Yeah.
But it
Sounds great.
It does, and there's so many people who I've read who have said, yeah, play like 5 hours, get into it, play the first 5 hours, and you know, because there's a few things that kind of happen in the first 5 hours, abilities that you get to help you in the loop and those kinds of things. And I can see why people would say that's the best sort of first place to be. But actually, my first run with it was maybe 30 minutes. And then the next time I played it was perhaps an hour.
You're bad at games, so.
That's it. It was too tense for me. I couldn't play it. I was too bad. I had to put it down and go somewhere else. Now I'm enjoying the intrigue of everything, exploring a map to death and finding all of the bits, all of the notes that are everywhere, uncovering all of these clues, understanding the paths of the sort of the visionaries, where they'll be and stuff. So, very much enjoying it. I think it's kind of one of those games that I'll like plug away at very slowly, probably, rather than me going like saying that I've been playing Kena and Sable and this. I don't see myself with any of those games sort of sitting there like, right, I will just play Sable now until I have finished it, and I won't touch any of them, because all of them are intriguing and interesting enough that I want to kind of experience each of them continuously. So it's like, right, don't just, you know, and I played an hour of Sable today. Brilliant, great. I can wait a few more days to get back into Sable. And again, all three, Kena, Sable, Deathloop, they all have a familiar enough language that taking a break from them or playing something else isn't detrimental to the game. You don't have to come back and figure out what I'm doing. You know exactly, as soon as you load into Sable, you're like, yeah, this is how it works. As soon as you get into Deathloop, yeah, this is how it works. As soon as you get into Kena, this is how it works. And Kena is one which introduces you to different abilities and things very slowly, whereas Deathloop and Sable are, here is how to play it. This is it. Everything up front, this is what you do. But you can kind of do things at your own pace. So I think I'll continue along with those three games, just plugging a little hour, half an hour away from sort of each of them, based on, you know, my circumstance and situation, when I can be in front of the telly or when I can be in front of the PC when I'm not working, kind of thing. That almost determines what I'm going to play. And at the moment, I kind of, this morning, I was actually going to stream Lemnis Gate, which is that new first-person shooter with a time loop. Again, you do stuff in 25-second time frames, and then that will play out, and you kind of stack these times. But it crashed on me a couple of times through Game Pass. But no, it wasn't. So I thought, well, it's lunch. I opened up Deathloop. I thought, do I just stream an hour of Deathloop? I'm like, no, because if I'm streaming, it feels just, you know, playing something like Deathloop, I don't want to have to feel a bit more performative with it. I don't want to have to be like, everyone's here to see those big explosions and me going nuts and being all actiony, because that's not how I want to play the game.
Whereas, you're literally just looking around a corner for like 20 minutes.
20 minutes,
sure that guard is,
move forward a meter, have another look, just poke around, hack the sensors so it doesn't see me, but still sneak around the corner a little bit. I mean, in a way, it kind of does remind me of Hitman, but it's a completely different game. Plays in a completely different way, but it has that feel to it. You want to understand what's going on. You want to know those paths. You want to understand the layout of the map, to know where you can go, where you can be, how you can get that kill. So it has a similar kind of vibe, but it just feels a little bit more, even though Hitman's like assassination simulator, it's free, you can kind of do what you want. Deathloop almost feels maybe a bit more fluid in what you're allowed to do. So yeah, I really kind of.
I've definitely seen the two schools of thought from both you and Steph, whereas people are like, oh yeah, this is an immersive sim, and it's like I can choose my way of play and, you know, run to run even, And I've also seen like, oh yes, but late game, in order to beat the game, you have to do these things in a very rigid kind of way. I think that's basically what Steph is saying. Yeah, I've definitely heard from like podcast people are either camp A or camp B. So it's interesting. I think overall, just having this game and having you know, something where it is just like that immersive sim, but it's like it's more guided, it's more taught, because you know those games can be, you know, a bit daunting.
Yes.
It's an interesting. It's obviously not an experiment. They spent several years of their lives making it, but it's great to have something that has such a different design in the space. So yeah, I'll check it out next year because, as I say, like I'm not too convinced to buy it because I don't buy games. But anyway, it's just like I'm not convinced enough to buy it, even if it is Game of the Year. It's like I don't know how I'm gonna react. I could react like Ben and absolutely love it, or I could react like Steph and be, you know, a bit on the fence with it. So, but yeah, definitely one I'll check out. I'm just hoping people will go back to Prey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely different game.
Exactly. It'd be interesting to see whether people vibe more with, you know, if they're not familiar with Arcane stuff, whether they vibe more then with Prey or with Dishonored, because it feels much more Dishonored, but not in the way that it's structured. In terms of how it plays, it feels a little bit more kind of Dishonored. But yeah, I want to finish it. I want to get through it. So I know how I feel about that final bit. You know, do I feel that it was too rigid at the end, that there was only that one solution, or do I feel like even if there is one solution, has the game done enough to make me feel clever to get to it? You know, I've uncovered all these clues, I've manipulated these visionaries to get them into places by understanding this and doing this, and you know, hitting A, hitting B, hitting C, hitting D, and then it pays off in this kind of way. So I think that's going to be the you know, that final run where you do get everything, if you're not killed during it and have to start, you know, the day again and try and do all of those steps once again. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it makes me feel, whether it makes me feel very, very clever, or just like I've, you know, like it's a corridor shooter and I have just done the things it wants me to do. So
it'll be interesting. But yeah, people go play Prey, because as I said, when I played it, I was like, okay, this game is very good, but it's not great. But the kind of environmental storytelling in that game is like second to none. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Well, I guess Prey is Prey 2, really, but make Prey 3.
Again, very different game.
Yeah. Very different game. We'll probably hate it all the same, whether you like Deathloop or not. But it's just like, yeah, it's NoClip did a documentary on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it just takes me back to how excellent that space was. That kind of I don't even know what it is. That it's like that. It is a literal space station, but I don't even know how to describe it. It's like kind of like 60s Art Deco kind of
and
weird.
They've lent into that as well. Like they obviously like their you know, kind of decking out spaces in very very
kind of
themed,
timely,
very
that
so again, like Deathloop leans into that 70s feel massively, from the furniture to the sort of the announcements to what people are wearing, that kind of stuff. It's very late 60s leaning into the 70s, and it's some of the stuff that's really grabbed me has been how the spaces are designed. You know, just standing in a room and seeing one of those like floating staircases that everyone in the 70s wanted, and being like, yeah, this feels actually, it's not just down to sort of the set dressing, it's the actual way that the spaces are laid out as well. And once I've kind of played a little bit more, I was thinking that I'd love to kind of get into one of these maps, kind of kill everybody, and then just be able to explore it and wander around and look at the details, see how these spaces are kind of designed and how everything sort of flows around it and stuff. So yeah, it's very intriguing in how it's been laid out and put together.
I mean, prior to Bethesda's acquisition, which is, you know, actually a good thing that like people like Arcane will be around for many years more, regardless of how their games sell. To be honest, this seems to be a hit, so that's grand, and like that would have nothing to do with like Microsoft. But it's like, say if this was an absolute bust, you'd fear for Arcane. They could have just been like, okay, we are a support studio who just makes environments for people and level designers. It's just like, yeah, just get them to make every every 3D game or overworld game or whatever. Just say, I want a room to tell a story. Get these guys on the job.
Completely. Half of them will be doing that, and the other half of them will just be making up rezzed versions of Skyrim assets, just for whichever the next release is going to be for that when it's on the PS6 and just on Xbox Cloud forevermore.
You mean Xbox Cloud 360S?
Yeah.
I was thinking about firing that game up, so which I always want to. It's like don't go down that hole.
It's a game I have started several times. I've never gone more than 5 hours into that game. The longest time I spent with it was when I was fucking about with mods to make it look pretty and or make Thomas the Tank Engine instead of dragons. I don't know why, but it never like grabbed me, the story.
Yeah, I was the same. I was exactly the same.
I don't know why it grabbed me, to be honest. You know, it's not my kind of game. Fantasy RPG.
It's intense because I loved Oblivion. I thought Oblivion was great. Really enjoyed that. And then I watched my brother play a little bit of Skyrim, and I'm like, no, not for me. I don't want to play this. I think I started, create the character and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just like, this isn't for me. I'm not.
Well, there has to be one person I know who hasn't played Skyrim, and that's you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations. You've survived.
That's it. Yes, I don't own it 20 times on every single possible device. What I find interesting as well, though, is you look at Fallout and Skyrim and those kinds of games, and how the modding community has kind of come out. You don't get that with like the Arcane games. I don't think I've ever seen like Dishonored modded or anything like that. I wonder whether they've just gone, no, it's not that kind of game. We're not going to support. We're not going to support that kind of thing. Whereas they've gone, yeah, you can make Macho Man Randy Savage death claws in Fallout. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Dress them in bonnets or something like that.
A weird one. Maybe it's their engine is less malleable, or maybe it's just that open world draw of like Fallout and Skyrim and stuff.
Yeah,
like.
potentially.
Forgotten City is literally from Skyrim. Who knows?
Cool. Let's move on to second beers. Let's open some more beers up. Lucy, you only had the one this evening, didn't you?
Yeah,
yep.
I might. I don't think. I think I'm done.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm good.
Cool. I then am going to open up an Imperial Stout. Not any Imperial Stouts, an Imperial Mole Stout. It's Superman's big sister from Pomona Island. It's got all it looks like an Easter Island head on it. It's 11%. Till I drank this Imperial Mole Stout, I thought I knew the answers. I thought a blend of ancho, mulatto, and pasilla chilies and cacao nibs was all a body needs. It wouldn't be surprising nowadays. Maybe some coffee in there as well. Maybe that's all the body needs.
No, that's all I need to survive.
that is pretty much everything. Doesn't give me any information on what's in it apart from the allergens, barley, oats, and wheat. But yeah, 11%. So I shall crack that
You've
open.
been cranking out those Pomonas, haven't you?
Mm.
Recently.
I mean,
Can't say I blame you.
they're good. They're so good.
Yeah.
Adel, what are you going to be drinking next?
I am drinking a missing glass. Oh, there it is. The Coffee Friends. It's a coffee American brown ale. This collaboration beer from Beguile and Temperance has a nutty caramel malt character with coffee added to round it all out. It reminds us how well coffee and beer go together, but also that they're best shared with friends. Temperance and Beguile and beer and coffee equals Coffee Friends. 5.6%, 355 mils, and it's another Chicago, Illinois beer.
Nice.
Yeah.
These beers, are they Beer 52 beers?
They are, yeah. Nice classy can.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I thought you might have brought it back or something.
No, just Beer 52. This month
Nice.
is Illinois, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about canceling it, and this was actually quite a nice surprise. It's been a while since we've had non-European beers in the box.
Yeah, and it's not a area of America that's usually showcased, or at least I don't know much about the beer scene in
Yeah.
Chicago.
Looks nice. A nice brown. I mean, this again, it's black. It's just pure black. Nice
wow.
brown, really frothy head. It was super carbonated as I poured it. The can as well. I can't quite tell whether they've gone for a slight. Again, the can isn't the color on that background isn't black. It's almost got a tint of blue.
Yeah, it looks
in
quite
there
blue in the
Oh,
light.
very
on the
well.
camera.
Yeah. But it works quite well with the pink pops as such, especially when you have a very similar can with the Verdant as well. But
Mm.
just side by side them, like you can see the Verdant is black
Yes,
with very light pink, whereas the Pomona is kind of
definitely dark navy.
dark
blue,
navy, super dark navy with more popping pink. I think I've not drank the Pomona, but in terms of what I'm picking up off the shelf, it's probably the Pomona. Not that we get too much into the art these days on the cans, because we know how wrong we can be by just picking up nice can art. I will say that the illustration is by Meico Design. MEICO Design. I think they probably do all of their cans because they're all very, very similar.
Yes.
But the beer itself, yes, super black in colour, nice brown head, super carbonated. Ooh, that's a nice nose. A little bit of coffee. Or was it more
Yeah,
of
I'm
a
jealous.
roasted kind of chocolate on there?
I'm jealous of your beer.
Mm,
Like Booth and Imperial.
Well,
Stout.
see, when you go to the bottle shop next, Lucy, and you want to pick up those Imperial Stouts,
Yeah.
I'll taste it and it'll just like burn my face off, and you'll know to stay away from it. But it's got a lovely nose. You can definitely get those chilies in that nose as well. They don't come through too harsh. They just sort of sit at the back. You know, kind of how kind of chilies when you have sort of like jalapenos or something, or even like olives, where it's got that kind of very drying sort of taste to it, and just sucks the saliva from your mouth. The nose almost feels like that. It feels incredibly dry. So, ooh, okay.
That's a good.
So the cacao nibs are kicking in instantly, and you have this nice sweet chocolatey sort of start. Feels like them. It doesn't say there's milk or anything or lactose in this, but it feels like it's just got a little bit of a creaminess to it as well, just a little sweetness from that, which feels almost like a milk stout. But it then has the just the right level of varying degrees of chili in this for me. It's not too hot. It's not sat on my tongue. It doesn't last too long. It's just giving you a little hit of that sort of spice, that little hit of heat. But that's kind of it. It doesn't outstay its welcome. Take a bigger swig to see what happens. You kind of get this nice sort of tingle on the tongue from it, and then all of that flavour kind of just goes and just instantly dries. It just sucks it straight out of you, and you are left then with those sweeter notes in there. It does it absolutely as Imperial Mole Stout, but I can absolutely see them calling this like a chili milk stout or something instead, because it does. It very much feels like that. It has that sweetness. It has that smooth creaminess to it, but it just has that touch, just a touch of heat, and a massive drying out. I can't remember what chilies it said. Ancho, Mulatto, and Pasilla.
Does it take too much of that like moisture out, like that drying effect though? Because sometimes, yeah, I mean, I don't know how hard it is to get that balance of chili right, where it's like, am I just drinking chili, or am I, is this still a beer where the spice and the heat just complements it? Sometimes it can be a bit. Yeah, I guess it's a fine line where they just overstep it and it's just too distracting.
Yeah,
and too
I think they've gone the kind of opposite way, and they've underdone the chilies a little bit. Right, yeah. So it's not.
I'd rather that than the other way.
Absolutely. So it is a stout. It's absolutely a stout. It tastes like a stout. It feels like a stout. It feels like a milk stout, as I've said. But then with that hint of those chilies in there, you're getting the flavour of them. You're getting that drying effect from it as well. You're getting a touch of heat on the tongue too. But they don't stick around too much. It's not all encompassing. It doesn't take it over. I remember some of the sort of the chili stouts that we've had where they have that hit of heat to them, and you're like, oh, I want to drink my beer because I'm a little bit on fire and I'm dried out so much. But I know as soon as I drink it, it's just going to happen again. Whereas this is incredibly pleasant. It's a very easy beer.
Excellent.
Because I remember there was a Magic Rock Mole beer where it was like they went too far in like the spice direction. So that yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Yeah,
well,
sounds great.
Yeah, look for it next time you're out and about.
I will, and look at the hole burning in my pocket for how much that probably cost you. So.
I don't think it was. I don't know. I don't think it was much. Actually, I do have to sling you some money, Adel, for bringing beers and covering dinner on Saturday night as well. But I don't know. But I think the Pomonas in the bottle shop where you went were probably around £6 to £7, something like that, maybe.
Less, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Bristol is a tax haven.
You heard it here first, folks.
Brilliant. Adel, how is Coffee Friends?
So you can see it looks kind of like a not
brown
too heavy
ale.
coffee. It's very pale for a coffee. I mean, it is a brown ale, right? It's not usually.
Oh, it is a brown
coffee.
ale.
Yeah, usually we see coffees with porters and stouts. This is a coffee American brown ale, which is a very weird set of words. So are you gonna do it?
I remember you reading that, but I think I just immediately associated. Oh yeah, this is a stout.
Yeah, because why wouldn't it be a stout, right? And so yeah, it's it had a really frothy head on pour, but it's dissipated to almost nothing. There's like barely any on top. It's got a nice sort of toffee type sweetness, toffee malty sweetness on the nose. Again, another clean beer. I wonder if that's the water in Illinois and Chicago.
Is it like it's near the like Great Lakes? Like is it like near
Yeah.
Erie or
It's
something?
it's on
like
it's on
that?
Lake Michigan, isn't it? I think.
Erie,
Yep,
Lake
I
Michigan.
believe
yeah.
so.
So yeah, that would be good water.
One would hope, yeah. So it's as a pale ale, again, I'm not used to such a light mouthfeel
Hmm.
with these sort of malty coffee burnt notes. There's quite a lot of burnt malt. I'm getting a little bit of sweetness on the back end.
Yeah.
Sort of like a layer of sweetness, and underneath is this like steady burnt malt coffee. Less cacao nib and more diner.
Okay. You
It's less-
snob.
Me? Beverages? Snobbery? I think it's also just because those malty notes are quite burnt, so it does just remind me of like something like you don't get this in this country, but like coffee that's been sitting on the like a coffee that's been filtered into an urn that's been sitting on the percolator and it's kind of burnt on the bottom, and so it gets it. There's this touch of acrid burntness there, ever so slightly. Mostly just mostly it's not the acridity, it's just the sort of it's quite heavy burnt coffee notes, and it's such a light texture, and the beer is quite light because it's a brown ale that I think I'm just noticing that a little more, and so it feels like I said more diner. It feels more, oh yeah, this is having a coffee, right? The same coffee you have at the picnic where you crack a beer because it's the sun and everyone has a truck.
What are
Like
those,
it's
what
not
are
it's
those,
not a fancy
what are those
coffee-
parties called in the States?
Tailgate.
Tailgate, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't drink coffee at a tailgate. You drink
Just
just
drink,
the
drink
brewskis.
beers on the back
Brewski.
of the truck.
America sounds
It-
alright.
I mean, it's good. I don't want to. I don't want to feel like I'm underselling it. It's good. I like the sweetness that comes with the brown ale. I like the lightness. Now that I'm gonna need a little used to that burnt taste, I'm getting a little more of the ale coming through. It's still a bit of a shock to my system because it's like, here's this ale, but also here's some burnt, more malty undertones. But again, they're maybe that's what it is that burnt taste isn't accompanied by what I'm used to, which is sort of like a bunch of malty things that come with like a stout. Instead, there's just like it's a burnt taste. It's this coffee taste. There's a slight maltiness, but it's really the malty part is really not there. And I think the burnt, maybe just because of what I'm used to, but like that burnt malty coffee, the burnt coffee taste really does get smoothed out by malt. And with this, we just don't have as much of that because it's a brown ale. But you do, on the other hand, have a little more of that sweet, slightly nuttiness from the brown ale.
Is there any like earthiness to it? That's what I usually associate with like brown ales.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I guess that's going with the nuttiness. Obviously, it's not like peanut nuttiness, but yeah, there's just and that's giving me much more. I think that's why it's dinery, because it's giving me much more like not a strong, go to Coffee and Beer in Bristol and you get this fancy single pour, fruity note coffee. You're getting like a coffee, and actually the earthiness and the slight sweetness that's coming off of the brown ale is giving it a bit more of a, like I said, like you go to the diner or like the Tim Hortons and you get like a coffee with some sugar in it, whatever, like a regular coffee that people have in the office or whatever. That it's much more of that coffee taste, and it's actually, now that I've gotten used to it, quite good in that, like at replicating that feeling and that taste. I just wasn't expecting it, because you don't ever really get that in coffee beers. Everyone usually is looking for, hey, I'm a craft brewery, here's some craft coffee, let's try and smash them together. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, the lightness is really growing on me. Being able to get those hits without sort of the heaviness, like the can't believe I'm saying this. Like, you know, it's usually I'm like, because it's obviously like we've had a few of those like 4% stouts lately, like an oatmeal stout or a milk stout, and it's been like just not quite there. And this is like obviously even less so. It's not thick, it's not heavy. It's you know, it is 5.6%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's helping it have some sort of thickness of texture, given that it's heavier flavors like a coffee on a lighter type of beer.
That's good because I remember you had a period where you just had like porter after porter, and it's like not many of them did, you know, like this had that like kind of stout like feeling to them. So it's like it's good that wouldn't have thought that's why I was like, oh, it's a stout, but it's like no, brown ale, coffee brown ale. So
It's been a while since any of us had a brown ale.
yeah,
I think as well. So it's nice to see that people are still
doing them.
cracking them out. I'm sure we'll start to see
I
maybe
enjoy
a bit
them.
more. Yeah. Again, very much dependent. Brown ales feel like this nice early autumn kind of beer as well. Whether that's just because of our, you know, tastes and things, rather than, you know, read Johnny Garrett's book and see what he says. Whether it's an actual seasonal kind of thing to produce, or whether it just feels like the weather's turned. You start to lean into those deeper beers a little bit. You know, everyone goes to their brown ales or their rye IPAs to start the kind of the autumn season before they get into their stouts and porters to take them through the winter. You know, it's the perceived notion that certain beers as well suit certain seasons, perhaps. But you know, when we do the book club, or we've all just read it at least, we'll know a little bit more.
Well, that'll be good night reading, but I'll probably just fall asleep immediately. Like I had I just laid down in bed earlier, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get one article, you know, put these articles on to get read back to me. I don't think I made it through the first 2-minute article before I was asleep. So.
Nice,
perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
May have to be daytime reading.
when you're freshly woken up.
It's being in bed, isn't it? The problem is it's being in bed. Like if you're sat at the office chair, it's a little bit of a different feel to it, isn't it? It's harder to kind of slouch back and just catch some Z's.
I mean, so this is the problem with being in this room, right? Because it's like chair, couch, bed.
Yep.
And so it's very easy to be like, I'll just maybe grab the laptop and sit on the... Well, if I'm going to sit on the couch, I might as well just lie in the bed. It's even more comfy. Much never gets used. It's always hops right over.
Same. Yeah, but that's why this chair, this Secret Labs chair...
I need to think
that's why
about
it's
getting
like
that.
Straight up, you know, perfect angle. Just... Yeah, because otherwise if it's even slightly reclined, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna roll into bed now.
Yeah, I need to get onto Secret Labs. I'm gonna email them.
Yeah, their prices are going up soon.
Yeah, and you can hear my chair like,
I mean,
it just falling apart. Like
I mean, it's so worth it. It just feels like you don't get saddle ass every just sitting on a bad chair. It's like you just melt into it and you don't even it's something you won't even think of.
Yeah, it's more for me. It's absolutely. I've hit that age where back support is key,
crucial. Yeah, whether it's Secret Labs or not. Yeah, just getting that.
Yes. For everyone listening, this wasn't a sponsored bit. We're not quite there yet.
I wish it was.
But yeah, hopefully at some point we give us a month. Maybe it will be. I'll send some emails. Perfect. Let's jump into our final section then. Adol, we will come to you to round out our episode. What do you want to chat about this week?
The game I streamed last week, and because of timing, it was before the episode, or after the episode. We recorded before I streamed. Those are the words I am trying to say. I know I said them poorly. Deal with it. Yeah, and it's a lovely little adventure game.
Yeah, I'd call it a little
Narrative adventure.
game, yeah.
Sorry, Teacup is a short and wholesome narrative adventure game with a focus on exploration and non-linear progression. You play as the titular Teacup, a shy and introverted young frog who loves drinking tea and reading. The day before she is to host a tea party at her house, she realizes she's completely out of tea, and thus must venture into the woods around her to find the herbs she needs to restock her pantry. It's probably 90 minutes. I streamed it for about just over 2 hours because streaming, reading all the things out loud, etc. It's adorable. I think it is. Yeah, I think Lucy, you might have mentioned this either on air or off.
Yeah, it was last episode. Yeah, briefly touched on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that it's like I think it's like the ideal either a kid who's never like a young kid who's not played video games much or is just trying getting into them, never played an adventure game because there's no real controls, there's no hidden objects in this. It's you walk in front and then a icon appears and you can hit the interact button.
Yeah, there is literally a hidden object mini game, but as you say, you're not pixel hunting for or combining inventory or anything like that.
And like you said, all the puzzles are very you interact with someone and they're like, oh, I've got my magic carpet or my carpets are alive and you need to help me put this powder to stop them from moving, and then it becomes just click on a thing flying across the screen. It changes color, and then the second time you click on it on the changed color, it'll fall down, and you just do that until they're all done. Very simple ish. Most of the puzzles are simple, and that's good, right? Because it's not supposed to be taxing, but it's a nice way of making it feel like a game, being interactive, not just being walk around and basically visual novelty. Walking around is important, exploring is important. It's all very straightforward.
Would you just to sort of interject slightly? Would you say that they were more? And I think I got this from when I was watching you play. Would you say they're more mini games than puzzles?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because each one is different. To get, because she's going around getting these ingredients for a tea. Each one is its own little separate puzzle, and they never repeat themselves. So
okay.
It's just literally in that one instant where you're doing kind of hidden object game, or as Adil said, throwing magic dust at carpets and stuff like that.
Yeah, or those puzzles where you have to swap tiles until you make a picture.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of them are more puzzly, but a lot of them aren't. So these are mini games, and obviously you can kind of wander around as much as you want, but it's pretty hand-holding as far as not getting lost. I had a couple poor coding moments, I will say. For example, I played a controller and it told me the first buttons for the keyboard, interact and run, and I was like, okay, well I can figure out interact, but it took me a while to figure out run. And it was RB. It was RB, not even the trigger, but the button, which was just not a thing I tried for most, because who maps one of 4 buttons available in the game to that?
Okay.
And it was just, I even tried to restart it just to see, because sometimes games don't see the controller until they'll let you use it, but they look for the controller, and I was I'm pretty sure I had it powered on, and then I started it, maybe I didn't, did that again, still didn't happen. A couple minor graphical things where there's a stone on the ground, but you walk and it clips in front of you. Minor stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the odd spelling mistake in the text.
Yeah, there was just one or two.
Yeah.
Really for most games that are not done a triple A budget and have people reading through that stuff for fun. That's somebody's job.
The not showing the buttons on the controller was I think a bigger deal than it seems, because if you are handing this to a kid, you're gonna want them to play on a controller because it's easier to hold and navigate, and then to
the
not
kid knows what they're doing. The kid knows it's the kid plays Fortnite. So,
so other than that, though,
I didn't have any of that issue on Xbox, but that's because obviously
Xbox,
I think certification and stuff like that, you probably need to make sure that's all
Mm.
done. in all the
Also,
games.
like it's
Mhm.
Xbox won't have the which graphics to show for different control.
Yeah, it's just
Right,
it's just
controllers,
paths.
'cause it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they just on the PC version, someone was like, "Ah, right, I'll just swap all the icons from the Xbox to the keyboard ones," forgetting that some people play with the controller. Anyway, so yeah, I thought it was really fun. A nice, relaxing
Yes.
time as an adult. I'm as a reformed tea snob. The information was quite good actually, because you get
Yeah,
your
yeah.
grandmother leaves a book, and like you get little like a page or so about like lemongrass and ginger, and but also on the one on tea, like explains the difference between black, green, and white tea, and it does it really simply and better than people in Ponzi tea shops have been able to do. I've witnessed them do it much poorer. Um,
Yeah, I
so
learned
yeah,
something.
it's just
from
really
that
like,
game.
and like the writing is really good because you just like you wake up, you have none of the ingredients, but luckily you've got your grandma's book, so you know what you need to look for, right? And you know, if you play it in one shot and you're paying attention, you realize that like Teacup is like kind of a shut-in
Mhm.
because everyone's
Yeah.
surprised to see her out, but like that's all in subtext. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm surprised you're out, and like it's so good. We should maybe hang out next week. Things like that are set up like by her friends or whatever, or people like, oh, are you? I've never met you, little frog, and like stuff like that. That is just like not ever developed. It's not made a big deal of,
Yeah.
which I think is
I really
good
enjoyed
writing,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's
I-
just
And you could
get
see
the
in like
idea.
her body language when she talked to people, like she looked a bit withdrawn and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought it was really nice how it was like this is how she, you know, this is her safe space, so to speak. She loves tea, and it's like
Mm.
clear to show she's got that from her grandmother, and it's like this is how she interacts with people and has that kind of like social element to her, who's with someone who's very, you know, withdrawn and introverted. So yeah, I thought that was nice. And as you say, it's not overt. It's not like okay, you know, teacup sitting down on a you know on a psychologist chair and she's
like-
having a cup of tea. It's like yeah, this is her character, and it's okay to be introverted, and she finds ways of communicating with people and socializing with people in her own way. Yeah,
There's
which
no
is nice.
scene where like off in the distance there's like, oh wait, what is that teacup? Oh my god, you're outside! Right? There's nothing like
You
that.
touched grass. Yeah, it's like I am
Um,
teacup. I people are like, oh Lucy, it's past winter. We can see you now.
Yeah, so it's really good. I think it'd be fun to play with a kid as well if a kid is like a little young, so you could read it out to them. I mean, I read a lot. I read everything out loud. And it's nice. I mean, the one thing that I would say about like just giving it to kid to play, if they weren't going to play the whole thing in one shot, is there is no information tracking in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in
So,
terms
like-
of?
Like as in you talk to someone, they're like, oh, like something's wrong with my magic carpets. Maybe magicians
Oh,
will figure it
yeah,
out,
yeah,
and then you
yeah,
like
it
you
goes-
can wander about and in the forest and find a tent. But if you
Yes.
like walked away and came back,
Agreed. Yeah, there
you'd
should be like a
I don't know.
chat box. Yeah, like Bernie said, go see
Yeah,
Bert by the at the lighthouse.
and
you know.
I just say this because it's such a well-crafted game for
Uh-huh.
kids, and like that's an extra mental load that not only might like it's just you know if you're not used to controllers or whatever, and you're just having fun playing the story, you might not think or have like the knowledge of I need to track that because like I was like I obviously 100%ed the game because I found all the things, but like at one
I
point I
did
was like, wait,
forget,
what are
yeah.
the
There was a point where it's like I forgot who I had to see and where they were.
Yeah, and I literally did for a while, and then I'm like, oh, right. I
Mhm.
had to talk to the guy in the post office before I left town, and I forgot to do that. But that was me like at one point because I went to the plaza where there's a bunch of like, because it's obviously you can do a lot of them, and like there's a basic gate for the last chunk of the
Yes.
of the story, that you have to see an event and participate in it in the town, like the town celebration, and then you'll be able to, something will change and you'll be able to access the final area basically, because it's a Metroidvania. So, but like, I went to the plaza and I did the thing I do in RPGs and all these things. Like I just kept talking to people and tracking through. And like I'm guessing a kid might be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to do that," and then not talk their way through. But because I sort of systematically went through to talk to people as I was going by, there were 3 clues of like something further will happen. And yeah, I was like, 2 of them are up there, and one of them was like backtracking, and I forgot to backtrack, and then I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure there was another thing. And obviously, your mileage may vary whether you end up getting in the position where there's 3 open threads, but I just think not having any tracking for a kid who maybe has never played this type of game is a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah,
I
That's
agree with
literally
that.
like my only complaint.
you don't necessarily need like a quest log, although that would be how most games would do it. Here is your quest log. It's how Sable does it, but it could be to stay within the character of the game that she journals stuff. I chatted to this person and they said this. Exactly, like it's written in the second half of her book or something like that, instead, and it doesn't necessarily say you have to collect or you have to speak to or you have to this. It's just this person said this. I feel this about having to, even to lean into the character. It could even give a running commentary as to their thoughts if they wanted to sort of lean into that even more. Like, I have to go and talk to this person, and this is what I feel about it. And then even a follow-up comment like afterwards, like, I did this, hooray, or I spoke to this person and there wasn't this issue. And there's tons of ways that they could go about doing that without it just being quest log or nothing.
Because I definitely I'm glad you brought that up, because I definitely had that point of like, oh yeah, who was I meant to see, what I meant to do. I think it's not a huge problem because I the town is so small and there's like only so many places to go, so it's like eventually you will stumble on that person by just talking to them again. It's just like, they will give you the ingredient or continue with that kind of quest or whatever it is. So it's not a huge problem, but yeah, I agree with it. Like, it would be nice if it was just like checkbox. It's like, I got the tea from, not the tea, the honey or something from this person, or I need to go get the hibiscus from this person.
Or like temporary markup on the map that you get.
Yes, just an X or something like that.
Something. Although I get it, because like they think they want you to have to wander around, so it's like you don't want it to be like the tent with the magicians is here. There was also some nice touches where like you got a magic dream tea, and then you talk to a psychologist.
She got high.
She trips out.
Super high.
But also
Tripping
then you
ball.
talk to someone who like the psychologist sort of Fox or whatever they were. And they're talking about, oh, I really wish I could track down this dream tea. I've read about it in books. And I'm like, oh, I must give it to this person. And it's like, nope, there are no options to do anything about this, which I really appreciated because it's so, like, it's a very simple game. And, like, I like that they put in a couple dead ends
Right.
just to be like, narratively, this is interesting, but, like, not everything is a piece of the game.
Bit of flavor text.
Exactly. Just like, oh yeah, there is a connection between these 2 things. It doesn't. It's just part of the world, though.
Yeah, everyone gets high in this world, basically.
I mean, so what that told me is like she doesn't want to help this person out and give them the tea they've been looking for because she wants to make sure her friends get high.
Good friend.
It's the only explanation.
Like, who's this random fox? He'll probably get high and eat me. I'm not going to give him the tea.
But I do have to say there was one challenging mini game. And
Is it the first one?
No, it's the second to last one.
Which one's that? Oh, the cog
the
one.
Play.
Oh,
I'm
I
so
didn't-
bad at memorizing things. It's like a left, like you get this, like you get a set of arrows, and first it's like left, up, down, and then it goes all the way to 6 or 7 in a row. And the last one, I was just like, I had to edit it, the VOD for the YouTube because I said shit. It was like, ah, shit. And I was like, oh no, I've been so good. But like, so
That one I
no
was
punishment,
okay
right?
with.
It just goes,
No.
meow, 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 meow,
Yeah.
and then it gives you another set of 6 things. But I was just like, oh, this is like, I know I'm bad at these things, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I got through all 5. Oh, I got 6, and then I did like another set of 6 or a 7, and I was like, up, down, off. Like, and it was just like,
I love how we all have you know, weaknesses because the cog puzzle I had to look at a walkthrough because
Oh.
it's just I cannot do cog puzzle,
The
and I
cog
didn't
puzzle was
understand that
great.
one was. I didn't understand what they wanted, and there was the very first puzzle because I was sweating thinking I hope not every puzzle is like this where you had to fit the things, the tiles into the box.
the Tetris
Right.
one.
The Tetris.
I
had-
fucking slammed that. I was so proud of myself. I'm like, pretty sure I'll start with this, and then it was like that.
That took me at least that took me about 20 minutes.
Oh,
It's
really?
just like-
Oh no.
It's just like I was like,
Uh,
oh no! I thought this was a cute little
Uh,
frog
Yeah,
tea game.
the cog puzzle I think for a kid would be hard because the instructions are very weird. Because it's like
yeah, I didn't
the
understand.
cogs must
yes,
all
for
connect
a kid,
but not
thank you.
overlap.
Yeah, yes, for a little baby
But
child.
what I really appreciated about that puzzle, which I don't think I mentioned on screen, on stream, was they had just it wasn't like a blank space. There was like 3 sketched out, like just sort of cogs that were just drawn out, just which looked like it was just aesthetic, but actually, that's they had the shapes of the cogs because all the cogs because it's three types of cogs and 3 of each type, and the 3 so like the ones with the square notches all had to fit together.
Yeah.
And they could kind of overlap with everything else. That was the weird wording of the puzzle.
I did not
but-
understand.
In the background of the blank space was like an aesthetic little look. It's a cog in the background, and there was a square cutout in the top left. So I started with that, and then and when I got the 3 connected, it went ba-boink, and I was like, cool. And then it was a little more tricky to get the other 2 because they weren't quite as centered with the background drawing, but they pretty much do map that way, and I thought that was a really nice, like, subtle psychological nod that might help people without being like. But I agree. Like, if I didn't catch that, it would have been so much effort to figure
I
out.
didn't. I had to use the hint. I didn't watch a walkthrough. Hint system, which is it's nice that they have a hint system in the game because I was just spamming that.
Yeah.
It showed you this.
Wait, there was a
goes
hint
here.
system in the game?
There's a hint system in the game, yeah. Which is nice.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, where was the hint system?
There's a big question mark in the UI on the top of the screen. I love how we both describe this as like this is the perfect kids game, and
know.
yet us 30-plus-year-olds cannot figure it out.
Missing the hint system, couldn't do the puzzles. Oh no, it's really good for kids. It would be so good for kids. Kids have neuroplasticity. They're smarter than us.
That is
That's true. Absolutely. Yes.
But yeah, so I really liked it, and I think it's especially if you then to incorporate what we've just discovered. If you were to play it with a child, I think it would be slightly more ideal than handing it off to them. For the lack of guidance logging, like, oh, you talked to this person, they said something, but also just like some of these puzzles, we all think differently. So like I smashed those spatial reasoning, puzzles, and Lucy had trouble, but I could not do. There are 6 arrow directions. Push them in that order. It's like, what was that third one?
Well,
like I
kids
just
have
don't
got
have a
good
good
memories,
like
so-
that. Yeah, I don't have a good
Yeah.
memory in that way. But yeah, I think it's nice because there is a variety of different puzzles or
Yeah.
mini games, I should say, that allow you to try different. Again, that's why I think it's a nice intro type game, because then they do something that looks like a puzzle, but then other things like racing a frog in a pond.
yeah.
There's a bit of a timing puzzle to like jet yourself forward to catch up and pass the frog, and like it's easy, but if you're new to games, this is like a novel concept and a really laid back way of introducing it.
Nice.
Battletoads.
Good.
Yeah, you're racing frogs. But yeah, really lovely art style. Nice,
Mm.
Oh,
calming
yeah.
soundtrack. Like kind of watercolorish almost
Mhm.
kind of art style.
Yeah, the art style is really cool because it's
Mhm.
I called it, I think, on stream. It's like someone realized you could make good art out of the MS Paint spray can.
Yes, yeah,
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
it's very like 8-ish bit, like around 16-ish bit rather. But a lot of the textures in the background and even like the wind in the through a part of the forest is just like the spray paint. Like so, it's
Like a
like
diffused
like pixels
color.
on, pixels
Mm.
off. Yeah, like
If
kind of
Monet
texture.
used MS Paint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's yeah, perfect. And it works really well. It gives texture to the world in a really easy way. It's consistent. It's often only on the background or ground. It's never on the so it makes the characters pop. It makes things clearly background or wall or floor. But like a desk in the post office won't have that sort of checkering,
Mhm.
right? It'll just
Mhm.
be a different way of doing some shading to give it a
Yep.
sense of not just a
Yeah.
block, right? But it's got a really they know how to use that style best, and I've never really seen it that much in other things. I thought it was really great.
Luckily.
Nice.
Yeah, as I described it last week, it's sort of like the Arthur adventure games that I used to play when I was very young, like at the library. Maybe it's because of the all the animal people. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, it'd be great for kids,
Mm.
and 30+ year olds.
Good for 36-year-olds and 36-year-olds.
Yeah, I'm not sure the second one would
Yeah.
work very well.
Would you rather fight a 36-year-old sized
What?
6-year-old or a 36?
6-year-old size
Fine.
7? What? I think that might have gotten away from you, Lucy. I'm not gonna lie.
What a good place for us to round out this episode. Then let's jump back into our beers and give final thoughts on what we've drank this evening. Lucy, I'll come back to you for the attic.
Yeah. The rich history. Still can't see this one. Yeah, it was nice. As I said on the can, I think the ice cream matches well with the style.
Mm.
Belgian double. So yeah, that was a nice surprise. Yeah, a bit. I think I picked up a delirium from the shop earlier today.
Mhm.
And just thinking how, that's got a bit more thickness and a bit more heftiness to it, but which I like, like my doubles and triples. This was a bit, a bit more watery, a bit thinner, but it still retained like the flavor that you expect from a double, which is no mean feat. And yeah, you had those lovely, like, kind of slightly estery, kind of yeasty, Belgian yeasty flavors. You had a nice bit of spice, a nice bit of warmth. What was it, 7.4? So, yeah, 7.4. So probably getting that, maybe a little bit from the alcohol, but probably just as they say, the natural peppiness from the, pepperiness from the yeast and stuff like that. But yeah, nice one to sip on, to enjoy, to savor for a while. Really good for the time of year. Yeah, I'd check this one out. Getting that kind of like Neapolitan-esque, like, kind of sweetness and flavors. Probably more the vanilla than the chocolate, and probably not much strawberry and stuff like that. But definitely getting that through as well. So I don't think that the collaboration was like in vain or just perfunctory. So yeah, it's a good beer.
Good.
I think they don't really. I haven't really seen them. This might be their first like attempt at a double. I don't really see them making many dark beers, so it just shows their quality, because like usually have like IPAs from them and pale ales, and they do that very well. But yeah, like some of when I used to go to the tap room before lockdown, you'd see, nowadays, now and then you'd see like, a saison or something like that, or something that's like not too common now, especially like doubles and saison or wheat beer, stuff that you don't usually see. And they'd always just be really good. So it's like they obviously understand like what makes each style its own, and they just really really go for it and really succeed in whatever it is, and this is no different. So yeah,
Nice.
good beer.
Good. Good. It's a hard week for me this week. I've enjoyed both of the beers that I've had. The first one, Remembering Things I Didn't Do, was a very good example of a West Coast IPA from Verdant. Really nice. Had a lovely flow to it, some sweetness into lots of piney bitterness towards the end. Really, really easy to drink. But I think I'm gonna pick the Pomona Island because it's one of these mole stouts. It's chili beer that doesn't go overboard. It puts the beer kind of first and then has these additional sort of flavours to it which do affect it, which do change the kind of the consistency and the feel of the beer, but not too much, not in a detrimental kind of way, just in a very balanced, very easy sort of way. So if you're in the mood, and you probably are more and more in the mood for a stout, and you want something with just a little bit of a different flavour to stout number one, then absolutely go for this. It's very, very well made, very well balanced, and just tastes really good. I mean, I'd pick both beers again, absolutely.
Nice.
But I would pick the, as we're getting more into the winter nights, the Pomona Island, Superman's big sister. Adel,
Yes.
to finish us off, what beer do you have a preference?
Always. It's interesting. I think I liked what the Coffee Friends was doing. I like that it's a brown ale that's coffee-y, and it took a bit to get used to, but actually it's leaning into the strengths of the brown ale to bring something else to a coffee beer, which I really appreciate. But it still felt a little flat's the wrong term. A bit. There wasn't as much depth to what it was doing. What it was doing was interesting and unique, but I feel like it wasn't like the uniqueness is doing a lot of work rather than the type is interesting, the token's boring.
Yep. Okay.
To be philosophy asshole. While the Noon Whistle was just a really good example of a nice crisp pale ale. I think the water has something to do with that crispness, but ultimately it was, again, had slightly sort of citrus floral, but very lemony and with a bit of orange note without being in your face. So not like zesty, just like, oh yes, this is a very, like I said, crisp and clean are the words that keep coming to mind, which made it, like I said, more like a late summer pale ale than maybe like an early autumn, but it still works. I think, it made me, it worked. Yeah. I haven't read the book. It's fine. I really liked it. And yeah, I just thought there was more depth to the tasting notes there. They're both interesting beers in the styles that examples of styles like this Cosmo Pale Ale is just not quite how I'm used to pale ales here in the UK, and I liked what it was doing. It was interesting, and it did it well. Right, a little more crisp, a little more clean. Like I said, it's a pale ale that even when I talked about like what it looked like, it just, if you had the same thing here, it'd be a little more hazy or a little more cloudy, and like it just was just crisper and cleaner and interesting in that way, and also the interestingness is backed up by just quality.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. A lovely note to finish us out on then. If any of you want to talk to us about video games or beer, you can get us at Tanked Up Cast over on Twitter. I'm at Nova_47 over there, and on the gaming platforms Steam and PlayStation. Lucy, if people want to chat to you, how do they do so?
Send me GeoGuessr tip videos,
Oh,
please. I was playing GeoGuessr, the daily one that you get for free, and I accidentally refreshed the page, and it said you have no free games left. So I caved and bought a year subscription for £18, bargain, and I've been playing the Battle Royale mode.
Wait, the what?
Yeah.
Oh.
How does that work?
There's like 10 people in
Quickest.
each game, and you have to. I'm playing the one where you just guess which country you're in.
Right.
And you have to do. You've got like a minute to choose which country you're in, and the guess you've got like up to 3 guesses, and you can see what people guess. So you got to know your flags because it displays the flag of the country that people have guessed. So it's like if this person has guessed Dominican Republic and they're not moved on to the next round, it means it's wrong. It's displayed there, and it's like, okay, I know it's not the Dominican Republic. Could it be Saint Lucia? I don't know. So it's and yeah, I've been doing. What am I doing?
No, it's fair. But but yeah, how do people send you those videos and tips?
Yes, at Juicy Loose 9, because did you know that like most places, or probably every country in Europe, has different coloured bollards? So I'm learning real world things.
Good, nice. What you need, Adel. If people want to talk to you about the colour of bollards, how do they do that?
I would ask them how they knew the name I titled my journal in the 11th grade. The answer is puce. The color of bollards in the 11th grade deal mine was puce. You can reach me at the Omniarch, TheOmniarch, on all of the things really, except Twitch. But I don't really stream on Twitch, not on Out of Lives Network.
Yes.
Or where we're doing this live every Tuesday at 8 BST if you want to join us.
Absolutely. We're also over on YouTube as well, which is Out of Lives Network. You can go to outoflives.net to also see all of our episodes, see our faces, the beers that we're drinking, look at everything that we're writing. Lucy published a Bonfire Peaks review.
I did.
You can see now at outoflives.net. Safe to say you enjoyed that game.
Yeah, it's really good. Go play it.
Perfect.
If you love puzzle games. Like, it's a really good one.
Good. And we've got lots going on our Twitch and our YouTube as well. Steph did a Life is Strange True Colours review, and Adel, you've been putting up their playthrough of that as well over on the YouTube and on the site. Obviously,
they've sold me on it. Yeah.
Nice, good.
I had no interest because I love Life is Strange 1, but I thought it might have just been a flash in the pan because I wanted to get into 2, but I just couldn't.
Yep.
But everyone says the writing in this is fantastic. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out.
Good. Adel, your playthrough of Teacup is also up on the YouTube and outoflives.net as well. And you can see me play a little bit of Sable on the Twitch VODs, or my Road 96 playthrough as well. There's loads of stuff going on all across our various different channels. We're Out of Lives Net or Out of Lives Network almost everywhere. That's everywhere. That's the places we inhabit. They're the beers we've drank. They're the games that we have played. Thank you everyone for joining us this week. We will see you all next week. Probably earlier, dependent on when streams and things go out. Adel, you might be playing something tomorrow.
Yes, but that's fine. We can say goodbye. Just to say, stick around because Steph is streaming Deathloop.
Oh.
So we might as well raid afterwards.
Oh.
Yes.
Let's do that now. We'll say goodbye for everyone on the audio version. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. But we will now raid Steph.
Raid it now. See you later, bitches.
Bollards.
www.outoflives.net.